Now, to a growing issue for all of us. What happens if someone calls you fat or tells you you're carrying too many pounds? Nearly two-thirds of British adults are overweight. We have some of the highest levels of obesity in Western Europe. But shaming people over their body size, so-called weight discrimination, can apparently result in comfort eating and even bigger waistlines. That, at least, is according to a study from University College London. Obesity is the UK's fastest-growing health problem. It costs the NHS more than £5 billion a year. How best to stop it, then? And will speaking out about someone's weight help or hinder the debate? We're joined now by Fatima Parker, who describes herself as a size acceptance campaigner. Welcome to the programme, Fatima. Thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Are overweight people discriminated against?
They are non-existent.
Non-existent?
Yes. Dehumanised. I mean, the report you've just shown had no heads. They were all
but
bellies.
that's because we can't identify
I'm not complaining. I mean, I'm not blaming the programme, but we see it in newspapers, we see it in magazines. We don't exist. And then we complain that the obesity is going higher and higher because we are treating, if it is a disease, we're treating it wrong. And we're looking at it from, you know, we're leaving companies and big conglomerates that benefit out of making money, of scaring people into losing weight, get away with it.
When you say we don't exist, I'm not quite sure what you mean.
You are presenting, you're beautiful, but if I want to present, they won't give me the job because I'm too fat. I don't fit the attractive... you know, I'm not going to be attractive to the viewers, and I won't do the job properly. And that's based only on the way I look, because it is refused and not acceptable in society.
So you think think people who are obese or overweight are discriminated against because
yes.
they don't get the jobs they should do? They're not
the
viewed
jobs.
in an equal way.
Okay. Yes, not only the jobs.
Rosie.
So there's this disease which now in a few years' time might encompass 50% of the population. Cripple the health service. The health service, the other day, a diabetic consultant on diabetes said that obesity was going to be worse than lung cancer. It was going to affect more people and going to be absolutely devastating to the health service, and not just the health service. To ambulances that are going to have stronger stretchers.
Right.
To
I mean,
airlines.
I don't want to take over the whole programme.
You had your say.
But it's all scaremongering.
It's not scaremongering. You're going to need a larger seat on an aeroplane.
No, I don't. I mean, even if I was given a job, I was given a job properly, I was paid very well, I'll take the 2 seats.
Everything is going to have to be strengthened because people are simply too overweight.
When did it start? When did this fight against obesity and you trying, or other people like with your ideas, trying? We are.
Okay, hang on. What we're trying to do is to say, hang on, both of you.
Hang on, because
programs to insult us. The viewers will not be able to hear you talking over one another. So if I could just stop you there and say what we're talking about now is whether you should say, effectively, calling someone fat is discriminatory.
It is.
The lead author of this, it was a doctoral thesis which was published from University College London, said fatism was one of the last socially acceptable forms of prejudice. Would you agree with that, Anne?
Yes, that is true. I don't think the question, though, is it fair to call somebody fat? It's is it helpful? And the research has shown that it is not helpful. Maybe what we should... the only way to deal with the health implications, the NHS implications, is to talk about health and not about weight and size. Because if we actually look at that, the nature of obesity, the nature of fat, some people are thin on the outside and have all of the worst sorts of fat all around their internal organs on the inside.
Yes.
So if we can completely shift away from the way you look to how healthy you are, then we're going to actually find that some thin people will have to face up to the fact that they're unhealthy too.
That's a very good point, and I have to say that, you know, that if you're thin, you're bullied at school sometimes as much as if you're overweight. So
no, I don't think as much.
Toby.
I do think the argument that's been made in this paper is completely absurd. They're essentially saying you shouldn't discriminate against overweight people because if you do, they're likely to become even more overweight. That's essentially saying you shouldn't be fattest for completely fattest reasons. It's like saying you shouldn't be racist because calling black or brown people by racial epithets is likely to make them even blacker and even browner, which is a ridiculous reason, a racist reason, in fact, for not being racist. The reason we shouldn't discriminate against people on the basis of their physical appearance is because it's wrong, not because it's more likely to make them even more overweight.
Let's go to Alison Freeman and get the views from Stanhope. Alison.
Yes, Sian, well, rather topically, we've now moved into the area where all the healthy vegetables, prize-winning vegetables that have been grown by local people are on display. And I'm also joined by Emma Reid, who's a teacher in the area. Emma, you must see what goes into children's lunchboxes. Why is there this problem with obesity, do you think?
I think there's a lot in the press about what's healthy and what fruit and vegetables and the 5 a day, but it doesn't seem to be getting back home. The children don't taste this food enough to get a taste for it and enjoy it. We try a lot in school. It's on science curriculums, it's part of their activities, but it's not part of their daily life yet, and I think that's the barrier where people are stuck at the minute. The children know it's out there, but they don't have it enough for it to become part of their daily diet.
Thanks very much, Emma. I'm also with Steve Hodgson, who's a keen gardener, grows a lot of his own veg. What's your view on the issue?
Well, I don't think it's just down to the diet with veg. I think a lot of it's exercise as well. You know, even if you get them to eat vegetables healthily, they still don't get out enough and do enough running around and playing. They sit around computer screens too long. That's my opinion.
And if they're outdoors growing vegetables, would that be better?
Oh, yeah. I'd love to get them encourage them.
Lovely, thanks.
I'd love to get them involved.
Thanks very much, Steve. Well, those are the views from Stand Up show here in County Durham today. Back to you, Sian.
Thank you very much, Alison. So whose fault is it that we have a growing obesity crisis?
Well, I think the food companies need to be looked at. I think that, you know, it seems to me that 10 years ago or 20 years ago there was a trade-off. People got rid of fat in their foods because fat was meant to be the bad thing, and then the foods tasted very, very bland, and so sugar was put in.
And then salt.
I think the food companies need to really look at processed foods. I think that people need to be encouraged to eat vegetables. Shops selling vegetables, marketplaces selling vegetables should be given incentives to set up stall.
This is not going to solve the problem we're talking about today.
But the point is,
we have to stop discriminating. We have to look at. We have to create or change the culture and change the language, because it is not only affecting people my size; it's affecting people your size.
Yes.
If you put a couple of pounds, you'd lose your job, or you'd be discriminated and insulted. Look at all the stars all over the place.
No,
they're insulted.
But the argument is this is very bad for you to be that size.
No,
and
we're not going to. You can't
and also,
tell.
It's ruinous to the health service, which we all pay for.
I don't want to be talking about myself, but I'm sure my GP is watching, and he's going to probably ring and say she's one of our healthiest patients. You cannot judge someone by looking at them, and you don't know the underlying conditions that made me this fat.
And that's Anne's point as well.
Yes.
Anne was saying
it's got to be about health, not about size.
Yes, of course.
Not big. OK, so if that's the point, is it really helpful to point out to somebody that they're carrying too much weight? When, if you're carrying too much weight, A, you know you are, and B, you've probably talked to somebody about it, about what to do about it if you want to do something.
Is it helpful to tell a smoker to stop smoking? You know?
It's not
is it helpful to tell an alcoholic to cut back on the booze? I would say it is the same.
I just think you have to find the right way to do it.
Yes.
I quite agree.
Of course.
I definitely am of the opinion that obesity is bad, not only for the individual. Of course it's bad. It's bad for all of us, as you've just pointed out. It's going to cripple the National Health Service. But just by blaming people and making fun of them isn't the way to... You only have to look at the newspapers today. Pauline Quirk has started to put some weight on again, and they've used phrases like, she's piling on the pounds, she's not eating like a bird anymore. Here we go, all over again, using the wrong language.
The demonisation of
which, frankly, if I were her, it would just drive me straight back to the biscuit cupboard.
It's the way that actually they don't talk about men like that. You know, she's too fat, she's too thin, she's too this, she's too that.
My children certainly say that to me. But I think the solution isn't to make overweight people feel bad about being overweight. It's to, as the gentleman said in the film, to encourage all people to do more exercise, particularly children. I think part of the problem is parents have become paranoid about letting their children out of the house. They're so obsessed with the risks and the dangers of what might happen to them if they kind of get out of their sight that we don't have children don't have the same opportunities to play and exercise and run around in the great outdoors that they used to.
But if you ask any primary school teacher, they say there is also a problem with the acceptance of larger weights or of bigger sizes is that if you ask parents nowadays, do you think that your child may have a little bit of a weight problem? They'll say, oh, no.
Is that,
and it's comparative.
yeah.
That's
We
completely
have to,
different how it was 20 years ago.
as I said, if we are talking now about discrimination, the first thing we have to change is the language and is the culture. People are born different sizes. So let's accept everybody and let's stop fighting fat because it's hurting the children. It's getting anorexia, bulimia. Children are thinking of killing themselves because they don't fit. Young girls don't eat. They starve themselves. So what we need to do is to, if we want the nation to be healthy, we have to show people who are obese, who are thin and who are small, all exercising
and educate them about healthy eating and the impacts of diets and all those things.
Diabetes become an epidemic and let the NHS go to the hell in a handball.
There we must leave it. We have to encourage health.
There we must leave it. Thank you very much all.